All right, welcome back. We have a biggest box yet. So I'm pretty sure this is just one knife, but this seller is either a Rube Goldberg Savage with aspirations to getting onto the pro circuit for Rube Goldberg. There's two knives in here. I don't know what's going on here. We'll find out in a second though. Once the Demco 80-20.5 shark's foot dismantles this tape. Oh yeah. So let's see what we got. Let's see what we got. It's like a candidate for Rube Goldberg of the Year. Oh yeah, that's good. That's some serious Rube Goldberg. Oh, I know what this is. Oh yeah. That was really nice packaging. I'll send that guy a thank you note. Anybody know that one? Made in USA. That's right. Medford. Model Praetorian S35 yen PV Tanto. This thing is so cool looking. Handle black polished with twist. Predator. Spring. Polished silver, twist Predator, hardware. Oh, sorry, let's just get to it. And some nice wrapping around here so the box doesn't just like open on its own in there. Always curious how people are going to package and deliver, and this guy went way above and beyond, so thank you for that if you end up seeing this video. This is really exciting. I've never had a Medford. I've seen a lot of pictures. This is a 2022. I don't know if they make this one anymore, but from what I've seen with Medford, you kind of don't see the exact same models a lot. Oh, that's really cool. Yeah, I've done like very little research on this knife company, so I'm not going to bring you any sort of additional knowledge, but I have to say that that is really cool. Warranted forever in new or used original condition. And this is, having been into firearms for a while, this is a really nice quality container here. I've always been like a little shocked in the knife world for like what you spend and what you get on a container. Like I'm sure that makes it more efficient and cost effective, but this is really impressive. That's like a nice, I think it's like one of those patches where you sew on the bottom part. This is really nice container here, which once you see this knife, you'll probably understand why. Whew. Look at that. Holy smokes. Oh my God, it's like a plate. So I have to say, when I was looking into this, I don't think I realized how wide this thing is. This thing is almost as wide as like a mini bug out is tall. I mean, this thing is like more than half as wide of the whole length of this knife. To put it in perspective, you can fit blade and handle in less than just the handle width. Holy smokes. Ooh. That is sweet. Wow, look at the details on this. Super cool. This is fresh out of the mailbox, 30 something degrees outside, so we're going to see some, I don't want to call it discoloration, but some condensation on here while we acclimate. But maybe I can just get a close-up on some of the details here. This Predator is insane. Love the spots for the fingers there. So this thing is brand new, never used. Still has like pretty hard lockup. Not lockup, but it's not drop shut yet. And I don't know if that's like a Timascus. I guess it's like an anodized. Looks like an anodized finish here on the clip. And I think I had seen in the pictures that there were a couple little spots out of there. So the cool thing is, compared to like, for instance, a hinderer, like I feel like I can actually get this thing out of here. So if I were to give it some wrist, I bet I could almost, I mean, it's the thing is it's so far away, but your finger can only get so far, but you can almost flick it open. I'm sure a better knife guru could. And this particular one doesn't have the, like this, I've seen some that have just like super thick block. Like this is not too crazy on the handle and the thickness. Like you could actually carry this knife. You shouldn't probably, I don't know, for each their own, but I could see how you could. Like the pocket clip's like super strong, so it's not the best for the pocket. I'm gonna throw it in there for a sec. It's carryable. It's going to take up that whole pocket. Like if you don't want something getting scratched up against it, if you don't want it getting scratched or you don't want it scratching something, this is like a, I'm going to take your whole pocket kind of knife. But you could carry this. Now, would you? That's probably, it's definitely not the most efficient knife to carry. Let's put this up size-wise against, to me this is more art, right, than practical, but like an 80-20, the big Demco. You know, all things considered, it's not that much bigger, right? Let me kind of line that up. You do end up getting the, you know, it's definitely bigger, but it's, you're talking about 30% bigger, not, you know, 100%. And actually thickness-wise, they're like about the same. In fact, you don't have the thumb studs, so, and the handle is actually thinner. That's surprising. I expected the handle to be a little thicker just based on the pictures, so the handle is actually quite a bit thinner than the Demco. I'll do it this way, so it's like, yeah, I mean, that's kind of crazy, right? So, look, people don't buy this thing as like a carry. Some people do, but this is obviously more art. So here is 80-20 S lightweight. I think the thickness is actually probably going to be about the same as the other Demco, so it's still going to be thicker than the Predator here. Or not the Predator, but the Praetorian. What a cool knife. So I think the closest thing I have as a comparable to this is the custom Demco, which frankly costs a lot more than this. So different in so many ways, of course. It's not a comparable in a lot of ways, but yeah, the custom Demco would, like, both cosmetically and just kind of emotionally and whatnot, be the closest thing that I have in my collection to this Medford. And I'm curious weight-wise how those two compare, so we'll weigh those at some point during the video, hopefully. In fact, let me do that right now before I forget that I wanted to do that. Because as you've probably learned if you've watched some of my videos, I get carried away. I can definitely end up in a tangent and never end up back where I started. So let me go ahead and fold. One hand fold? Sure. Yeah, easy. No problem. Okay, so the Demco I think is just over 7 ounces. 7.15. And the Medford, look at that thing. Oh my God. 8.3 ounces. There you go. The new winner in the collection on total weight. That's my heaviest knife. And by like over an ounce. That is something else. Really interesting how you get the lock there and there. That's really cool. And I'm really curious, let's get this guy out of here. Kind of makes it hard to see stuff. How the lock bar looks here. It's a little shallower than I expected. I thought, is that all the way locked? It's kind of crazy. That's not much lockup. That's like 20 or 25% at the very most. I don't think the light's very good right now. Let me put some light on this subject. Look how little that is. Very interesting. So yeah, very little lockup. So definitely designed for fashion over function in a lot of ways. I'm gonna pull over the light a little bit so you can get a little bit of a better view. And just do a little bit of a close-up here. See if I can do this without dropping it. One-handed. It's freaking over 8 ounces of knife here. So I really, once I did some research on the Medfords, wanted one of the flamed blades as well. But I love the anodized on this. And love the Predator, which seemed like it was pretty hard to find this version of the Predator. There was not a lot out there, and I saw some like pretty varying prices on these. Some as much, granted asking price is not selling price, but some for twice as much as what I paid for it. So apparently pretty desirable. Now, I think the one I saw with the Predator in twice as much was also a flamed blade. I don't know if that's even the right term, so sorry if not, but I don't know what you even call it, like a heated blade finish, and it has the same, coloring flashed across it. So this might not be anodized, this might be like heat treated or something like that, based on what, the other stuff I'm seeing that they do. But again, I did no research on this ahead of this video. I didn't even know what it was coming out of the box. So this is not a tutorial on the knife, just a first impression of like, hey, got this hunk of metal in my hands. Here's what I think. This would be a funny one to try carrying and see what that experience is like. Let me just give it a little wipe here. This would be a very funny carry experience for me. Oh, almost got it open there. Way out of what I normally carry. Way far from the go-to Demco 80-20.5 in Grivery that I depend on every day. Now what's interesting is the Demco, being the shark's foot, ends up having this like pretty funny tall, it's not quite Spyderco awkward tall. I find the Spydercos could just be like kind of hilariously pokey outy. Like it's, granted it's only a little part of it, but it is one of the most functional and like cool, deployment methods, but that ends up being very tall and kind of funky. Even more so than the Demco at the shark's foot. But this thing is on a different level of, I think the best way to defend yourself while carrying this would be just to blunt pound someone with it. It is just a chunk of metal. I'm kidding. Again, I'm going to say it again and again on my videos. Please do everything you can to avoid confrontation. I'm a knife collector for the sheer beauty and art of it and the curiosity, not for the use of conflict. If you need to do it for self-defense, you need to do it for self-defense or whatever, but to me, a firearm's more effective self-defense tool anyways, so don't want this channel to be anything focused around using knives in any sort of conflict-oriented situation. It's much more about the design, the feel, the pocket carry, the feel in hand, all that kind of stuff. So I'm actually kind of curious. I haven't really gotten a grip on it. What I will say here is I don't prefer it to the Demco. I do find, and I'm sure, and I know they have these like super chunky ones where the scales themselves are really wide, and it probably wouldn't feel this, but I do find this to be kind of thin and like a little jagged in the hand. So it's not terrible, but this is to me just not a terribly functional user of a knife, it is much more of a piece of artwork. So that is just something else, man. Let's get some of these out of here. So some size comparables that might be more relevant for some people. We got the Ontario Rat 2, I'm sorry, Ontario Rat 1 and Ontario Rat 2. Whoops, whoops, whoops. So much bigger than both in height dimension, similar in length to the Rat 1, a little longer, especially with, I imagine you might be able to remove that. Maybe not, maybe that plays the back off there, but definitely a big chunk of metal, a bug out, and a mini bug out. What else do I have here for comparison? Why not? We banter. I always thought this blade was tall until I saw that. Definitely on a different level. Something not often compared to on channels, but why not do it because of that? Here is a 91 millimeter Victorinox, in this case, Scientist. So you can compare that. Very different. And anything else here? Those are probably good comparisons for today. Oh man, what an interesting knife this is. Oh, you know what? I got a great weird knife to compare it to. I'd say these would be my top two like weirdest knives. So the Microtech Annex. That's a great comparison for many reasons. Let's pull out the 80-20 as well, because this feels like kind of all in the same overbuilt extreme category of knives. Particularly, and if you saw my other video on the Annex, what you'll find out, and I found out after, is no issue with the carbon. The camera makes it look a little weird, but I got it out under good light. And although it's not necessarily what I'd call like the best carbon work I've ever seen, it almost looks like there are little like imperfections, but it's totally smooth. So no worries there. This thing is super interesting. I love fidgeting with that one. That is a fun knife that I'm very glad I ended up with. So S35VN blade steel, which is great. You know, again, this isn't really something that you're gonna use necessarily, which they could have left them doing like a D2 or something. You know, in this case, they put in a nice blade steel. Gosh, I don't know. I got to go do some research. Maybe there's like a whole group of people that love carrying these things or something like that. And I got to go learn about that and hear the why behind that for them. I really got to get this thing deployed while I'm, let me see. So I need this finger here. Oh, very close. I'd love to get this deployed before the end of this video on one good finger flick. It's going to definitely take some wrist. There you go. Just need to put some wrist into it. I don't like cheating, but hey, one in Medford. Not sure if this is where it's made. This is how little I know about the company Medford, but you know, there's a great city called Medford, Oregon. So, oh man, what an interesting knife on so many levels. What is this one, by the way? It's 20V. All right, so not the same blade steel there. I think this guy right here is M390. Double check. Yeah, I'm $3.90 there. So, and they do make these Medfords in all sorts of different blade steels. I found different finishes, different elements all over the place. Super interesting knife for sure. The titanium work is really just something else. I don't know if you would call this jimping or something out of Blade Runner, but I feel like you could probably saw a tree down with the sharpness on these edges. These are definitely not designed to be, it feels like maybe something designed to like sit in the hand with a glove or something. I don't know, it's kind of interesting. I expected something a little different. I did expect the handle to be like a little thicker. I don't think I realized that. I think I thought the handle would be about this thick. I don't know much about the models and stuff. This particular model is rather thin, I'll say that. So let's see if we can get a little more info on the model here. Clip, brush, FLM, whatever that means. EDC specialties. So yeah, super interesting knife. Let's take a look at this this warranty here and see what it says, or this authenticity card. So just a authenticity card, pretty straightforward. Oh, here we go. This is what I was looking for. And that's pretty much looks like the same thing that was on the box, so nothing new there. Yeah, you know what? I don't think there's too much more for me to say about this. I gotta go do some more research. Aside from like price shopping, I didn't do a lot of research on Medford as a knife company, or I did, notice that they had a lot of knives that ranged from like something like this size or more of like a standard, Demco size, something like this, up through these, crazy beasts. And there's some like really one-off unique builds that are out there that are super interesting. So seems as though I have stumbled across one of them. I'm sure there are many, and this is just par for the course to some degree, but it did seem like the Predator was a bit more of a unique or rare finish on the titanium here. So I'm certainly pleased to have it, to be able to compare it to other things. One that's been kind of on my mind throughout this video is this actually phenomenal to deploy, but I'm just failing miserably. 8020 that I have with, or 8020S rather, with this like G10, and you can't really tell right now in the artificial light that I have, but it has this really unique sort of jade that can light up pretty good if you're in like sunlight and stuff. But just kind of feels in that dimension of, funkiness and kind of coolness, and this feels like something that should be in a movie, or it probably has been. They probably have put Medfords in movies if I had to guess, but something in a Vin Diesel movie or the like. So yeah, really unique. Again, really like the packaging that it came in. I think this is super cool. Get that into the screen here. Love the dog tag and everything here. And yeah, just love looking at this thing and handling it. I'm gonna have to spend some time with it, get acquainted, and do a little more research on what exactly I've got here. But that's kind of how I do it. Sometimes I just see something and there's some bit of an emotional connection or whatever that leads me to making a purchase. And yeah, this one, I'm just sitting there on Blade Forums and it popped up. I'm like, all right, I need to see what these Medfords are all about. So this is probably a bit of an extreme first example, but that's how I do it sometimes. I like to skip ahead. And to each their own, if it helps you enjoy your knife. So I'll leave it on a final note with a nice little close-up, and wish you well, and say see you next time. All right, take care. Thanks for stopping by. Please like and subscribe, and appreciate the patronage for sure. We'll see you on the next one.